Okay, welcome back. This is part two of the screencast tutorial for how to add winning to your catching game. So step one was the backdrop. Step two was the falling sprite. And now we're going to work with our catching sprite. So in my game, it's this little character called Jija. So I'm going to select her. You should select whoever your catching sprite is. And the first thing we're going to do is add some code to really specify where we want this little guy to be at the beginning of the game and how we want it to look and what size we want it to be. Because we're going to change all those things when the player wins. So we have to say how we want it to start, and then we're going to say what we want to happen when the player wins. So whenever we're saying what we want at the beginning of the game, we go with this one when green flag is clicked. I'm going to go to the motion and choose. Remember, when I reposition this guy to be someplace, then over here, the go to X and Y automatically changes the values to be that place. So I'm going to grab that one because I know I want it to start somewhere kind of towards the bottom. So when the game starts, I want my catching sprite there. Now we're going to talk about how I want my catching sprite to look. Heading over to the looks menu, and I'm going to grab this one, switch costume to. So the default is costume A, which is probably what it already is. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that like that. And I'm going to also talk about the size. I want the size to be, I guess what I have here is like 30%. I'm gonna click in here and specify 30%. Okay, so this is how my catching sprite's gonna look when the game starts. Now, what do I want to happen when the player wins? Well, going back to events, and I'm gonna grab this one, when backdrop switches. Because remember, when the score turns to 10, the backdrop will switch. So this is going to trigger this. When the backdrop switches to backdrop 1, then I want to switch the costume of my character because those are fun. I'm going to go to looks and I'm going to switch the costume. Now, you're going to want to pick which costume, and you can't really tell just by looking right here. So what you could do is come over here to costumes and they'll show you. So this is the A, that's how mine starts. This one is B, she's got her mouth open. C is like a little happy, excited. And D is sad. So I'm going to choose 3 because if you win the game, you're happy and you're excited. So I'm going to go back to code and click here. And the third one is C, costume C. Okay. The other thing I want to happen is I want her to say something cool. So I'm going to grab this one that says say hello, but you can click here and switch what you want it to say. I'm going to say you won with an exclamation point. You can put whatever you want there, but of course make sure it's appropriate. And my last thing I want to do is I want to make her grow really big so she kind of fills up the screen. So that's here under looks, set size. Let's see. We could set the size to something specific or we could change the size. I'm going to go to change size. You could play with those. You could try both of those blocks and see what happens. I'm going to use this one. And I think I'm going to just see what happens if I choose 140. So if I click here, it'll grow and show me how much. Look. So that's 140. For me, that's good. If I decided that that was not what I wanted, I could click over here, back to the original size, and put a different number in there and click. And I could keep going back and forth until I get it to be how big I want. Okay, I'm sticking with this one. My last thing I want to do is I want to add like a happy, fun sound. So if I go here to the sounds menu, and then I go to the sounds tab, right? That opens up the sounds I have so far. I'm going to click here to choose a sound. And you want to go over here to loops because these other sounds, a lot of them, they're just a quick sound. Like it just makes a fast sound. You want something that's more like a little song, right? And so you can listen to these till you find one you like. I like this one. It's called Dance Celebration. And since you're happy when you win the game, I think that fits. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to go back to my coding. And now when I get this one, play sound, and I add it here, I should be able to choose it. There it is, Dance Celebration. It's going to play it until it's done. Okay, so that should do it for us. Step 1 was a backdrop. Step 2, we coded the conditions for winning. And step 3, we made it so that our catching character does a bunch of cool stuff when you win the game. So now would be the time to press the green flag and play your game and make sure everything works. Bye.